There are many travel hacks that you can use before your trip as well as during your travel, but there aren't that many tips online for actually coming home from your trip. Which is why in today's video, I'll be covering 5 things that you can do to make coming home from vacation suck just a little less. There is also a bonus tip at the end of this video if you do decide to stick around. It's a good one. The first thing that I always make sure to do when coming home from a trip is to schedule groceries in advance for delivery. Nothing is worse than coming home from a trip, having a million things to do, trying to get back into work, having laundry to do, and then also adding 2 hours of grocery shopping to the list. This is why I recommend any traveler schedule their groceries to be delivered for when they arrive home. To avoid food sitting out due to a potential travel delay, I usually confirm my grocery delivery as I board my final flight or as the plane touches down on arrival in my home city, and then I'll schedule the delivery time to be about 1 hour after I plan to get to my apartment. Trust me, it is so nice to get home from travel, be able to wake up the next morning, make a coffee, and get settled back into daily life without having grocery shopping on the to-do list. I also like to get creative and take advantage of hotel items while I am packing up my suitcase to make unpacking that suitcase once I arrive home just a little more pleasant. It's also fun. I'll use a shower cap for things like dirty shoes or a wet bathing suit. I'll take the hotel room bar of soap and unwrap it just a little bit and then throw it in with my suitcase to give everything a nice fresh scent. I'll also use other bags like the fresh liners that they put inside of the garbage bags to separate and then seal off any clothing that might be in need of a wash. You could even consider emptying out the small travel size containers that the hotel room provides and then refilling it with your own products if you brought things that you did want to bring back home. Or you could just take these and then have them available for the next time that you travel, so you have the travel size containers and don't need to go and purchase more. I'll leave a video where I cover all of these hotel room hacks in the description. And I'd love to hear from you as well. Would you prefer to book a hotel room or an Airbnb? Let us know down in the comments. And the next tip would be that even if you decided to travel to your destination with a carry-on only, you might want to consider checking that bag for your way home. This is a way to get around weight limits if you happen to pick up extra items and souvenirs, and it can also help you get around the liquid limits that are subject to carry-on luggage only. So I'll always fly carry-on only when I'm traveling to a destination, but I'm not always going to fly carry-on only when I'm flying back home. For example, I got a great blender while living here in Playa del Carmen. This is a $100+ Ninja blender. If you know, you know, they are the best. But the problem is that I can't take the blades in my carry-on. So if I do want to bring my blender home, I'm going to need to check a bag. In a case like this, I will take my carry-on suitcase and I will check it on the trip home. Choosing to take my carry-on bag and check it for the trip home is not only going to help me bring my blender home, but also things like leftover liquids that I have that would be over the carry-on liquid limit restrictions. Another very similar tip would be to buy a new bag while you are on your trip if you happen to pick up a lot of souvenirs or you do have liquids that you do want to bring home. Buying a cheap suitcase for your trip home is a great option if you picked up a lot of souvenirs and happen to be in a country where you can get a cheap suitcase, for example at one of the local markets. I used this hack after flying carry-on only to Egypt. I was able to buy a cheap suitcase at the local market, stuff it with all my souvenirs and all the cool things that I picked up in Egypt, like Egyptian oils that would be over the liquid limits for carry-on as well, and then check the bag for the trip home. Buying a cheap suitcase while you are on your trip to check full of items to bring back home with you is especially worth it if you happen to be in a country where the things you're buying are very expensive for you back home. So you can be saving money even if you do have to pay for this checked bag. The good news is that there are quite a few airlines that also have a free checked bag included if you are on a long-haul international flight. So it might be free. Something else that I hate about coming home from a trip and always like to avoid would be having leftover foreign currency. Even worse than having leftover foreign currency would be knowing that you're losing a lot of your money at the foreign exchange currency counters at the airport. To avoid high conversion fees and truly just getting ripped off at the airport when you try to convert your money back to your home currency, you can instead do what I do and head to a Starbucks or any other international brand where you can take your leftover money and load it onto a gift card to use back home. This is so convenient because most airports around the world have a Starbucks, so there's no need to plan in advance how you're going to use up your leftover currency, and you can avoid those high currency exchange fees. And if you made it all the way to the small bonus tip that I'm about to cover next, something that I always do while I'm on a trip, especially if I'm living somewhere for several months and it's an extended trip, is I will go on Amazon and I will order all the things that I will potentially want and need so that they are waiting for me when I get home. This is fantastic if you live in an apartment like I do where there is a mailroom, or if you have a roommate that can collect the items for you. I have placed many orders to Amazon.ca with items being shipped to my apartment back home that will be waiting for me when I arrive. Some of these examples include things like protein powder, face wash, a new mascara, vitamins, and even toilet paper. Anytime I think of anything that's going to make settling back into life at home just a little bit smoother, I will go to Amazon and I will order it in advance. These small things not only help me settle back into life at home, but also sometimes have me looking forward to the comforts that come along with going home. Let us know down in the comments if there's anything in particular that you do to make coming home from a trip or a vacation just a little bit better. Safe travels, give this video a like if you did find it helpful, and then I hope you'll subscribe and join us back here for more travel tips and hacks next week. Bye!